What is going on, everyone? It has been Lone Vault Wanderer, and I'm just here making a video on the Nintendo Switch. I've been thoroughly enjoying my Nintendo Switch for many weeks now. I can't even remember when it was released. It seems like it was just the other day. But I've been having a blast with it, especially because I'm someone that commutes to work every day. I'm on a train for almost an hour each day. And as I'm just sitting there, I haven't even touched my phone for all those weeks. I've been constantly playing the Nintendo Switch. And I see the potential in this console to actually be a huge success, on top of how much of a success it is already now, because apparently it's sold quite well. But I think a lot of my enjoyment over the Nintendo Switch is down not just because of the console and how you can take it on the go and also play it on the TV at home, but it's also because of Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Zelda. That game for me has been just absolutely amazing. It's phenomenal. And this is someone that for a very long time, for the past several years, I haven't really been able to sink my teeth into a game and put in tens, if not hundreds of hours. But now with Breath of the Wild, I'm like almost 40 hours in. And some of you might look at that and be like, oh, you're a fucking casual. But for me, for someone that has a full-time job that's trying to manage a relationship with my job and also YouTube on the side, me putting 40 hours into a game on top of every other game that I'm let's playing, again on top of my job and my girlfriend and all my other personal commitments, trying to keep fit and go to the gym, etc. That's a big accomplishment for me, right? I mean, putting in that many hours into Breath of the Wild has been just so easy. It hasn't felt like a grind. That game just makes you want to explore and makes you want to play. And the funny thing is, after 40 hours, I've just beaten the second boss. I have 2 more bosses to go and then Ganon at the end. So I've really been enjoying this game. Just the fact you can explore and do random shit. It's a blast. It's been a blast, right? But, here's the big but, right? I don't know how much I'm going to be enjoying my Switch once I've finished Breath of the Wild. Would I do a second playthrough? Maybe, but I'd like to move on to something else. And this is kind of the problem that I'm seeing. I'm looking at the games coming out that are already out as well, but also coming out for the Switch, and I don't know what's necessarily piquing my interest as much as Breath of the Wild has and is. And this is where, in my mind, Virtual Console plays a part. And we all know that Virtual Console was not part of the Nintendo Switch at launch. They were really silent. Nintendo were fairly silent on the Virtual Console in the build-up towards the Nintendo Switch's release. So we kind of started to suspect that it wasn't going to be coming out at launch. And of course, that has been the case. And we don't really know when it's going to be coming out. Nintendo, all they've said is that we'll have more information for you at a future date. And I really do think the Nintendo Switch not desperately, but somewhat needs the Virtual Console soon, because I fear that myself and that a lot of other people, once they start to get to the end of Breath of the Wild and whatever other game that they're playing, the lineup of games on the console is going to start to become a bit more apparent. Now, of course, it's a new console, so it's not going to have that many games to begin with, but that makes the Virtual Console even more important. So I want to make 2 important points now why I think the Virtual Console needs to come out on the Nintendo Switch very, very soon. And the first point alludes to what I've just slightly been mentioning before. Because this is a new console, and because there aren't that many games coming out, they're fairly spaced out over the next year or so, we need some filler content. I don't like using that phrase, but kind of that's what we need at the moment. Because once I finish Breath of the Wild, maybe once I play Mario Kart or Yooka-Laylee, for example, and I've finished those games, I'm going to be needing some games to keep me busy, because I don't see much else that I personally want to play. However, you bring in the Virtual Console with some classic SNES games, with some N64 games. They also bringing back GameCube games as well on the Virtual Console. We've heard rumors of anyways. I mean, you have some of those classic titles on the Virtual Console available and accessible on the Switch. That's going to be a game changer for a lot of people, including myself. I think that's going to be a great way to fill and pass the time between major releases on the Switch. Again, like your Breath of the Wild, and then your Mario Kart, and then your Super Mario Odyssey. I think that's what the name is, I can't remember. But the point is that we need some games to play in between those major releases. Otherwise, the downtimes are going to feel pretty down, for lack of a better term. And that's where I see the Virtual Console playing such an important role. It's going to allow us just to be able to play something. Yes, they're games that we've probably played already, but being able to relive that nostalgia, I think, is going to be a strong draw factor and a strong hook for many people, including myself. And this leads me to the second point, right? The Nintendo Switch is meant to be the console to win back fans that have not purchased a Nintendo console for a very long time. We all know that the Wii U, it didn't really sell that many units in the grand scheme of things. And we see from what Nintendo has said and is saying about the Switch and all their marketing and all their build-up, that the Nintendo Switch is meant to be their big console to bring back all the fans, to bring back long Nintendo fans that perhaps haven't purchased a console, whether it was the Wii U, maybe the Wii, maybe the GameCube, whatever. It's their attempt to get their sales back onto the map and be more competitive with the likes of Xbox and with the likes of Sony. And to say, hey, we're Nintendo, look at this fucking awesome console that we have, and bring back all of those lost fans, which in effect they are. They're lost to other consoles. They're lost to the PC. And this is meant to be Nintendo's way of bringing people back. And because you have so many lost fans that maybe haven't played the previous console from Nintendo, or even the previous consoles from Nintendo, maybe even, again, going back to the GameCube, that also means that there's a lot of fans that haven't played those games that released on those consoles. And if you were to bring back some of those games via the Virtual Console, it would be much more of an incentive for those lost Nintendo fans to actually pick up a Nintendo Switch. Because let's say there's a bunch of people out there that haven't played the great exclusives on the Wii U, that maybe haven't played some of the great exclusives on the Wii or on the GameCube. Wind Waker, for example. I mean, how many lost Nintendo fans out there haven't played Wind Waker or haven't played Twilight Princess or some of these great first-party exclusive Nintendo games that released on those consoles, that there are literally tens if not hundreds of millions of people out there that haven't played those games. Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, for example. And again, this is a console, the Nintendo Switch is a console that's meant to win back those old fans. So while there are a lot of people saying we don't need Virtual Console, we've played those games 100 times over, there are actually millions of people that haven't played those games at all. And perhaps their first chance to be able to play a bunch of those exclusive games that they haven't played can be the Nintendo Switch. Why would they go back and buy old consoles that aren't even supported anymore when they got a brand new console that's $300 and then you got a bunch of really cheap accessible titles that you haven't played on the Virtual Console? That, I think, is going to be a game changer for many people that haven't purchased the Nintendo console for so long. And that's why I think Virtual Console is going to be so important, because you're not necessarily going to see a physical re-release of a lot of those older titles, but you chuck them onto the Virtual Console on top of all those other classic games that, yes, most of us have probably already played, like Ocarina of Time, like the old Donkey Kong games, the old Mario Kart games, Super Smash, etc. Have all those games there, you will have a console killer. Like, the Nintendo Switch will be one of the most competitive products out there, because I've said this for a very long time. I strongly believe that Nintendo, as a software company, has the best IP out there, has the best software out there. It's just that a lot of people haven't played Nintendo games for a very long time because there hasn't been that kind of third-party support for their consoles, which, while as much as people love Nintendo games, they also love third-party games as well. But the Nintendo Switch is starting to bring that around. They're starting to bring back third-party publishers. But you also still need those great first-party exclusives. And let's not forget about your back catalog, you know, Nintendo. Like, Nintendo has an amazing back catalog of games, and that's why Virtual Console is so important. That's why, if Nintendo brings back Virtual Console sometime soon, sales are going to go through the fucking roof. I can almost guarantee it. So anyway, Sway Sanders, let me know what you think about this topic in the comments below. And until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourself, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.